It is time now for the Balboa Park tournament. And before we continue, here is the full sequence from two previously recorded videos as to how I managed to buy all of these body parts for my Dodge SRT4. And something else I should also note is the wing I have on the back of this thing, I basically replaced that because this one looked better than wing 10, which was this one I put on initially. But I decided, because the drag spoiler went better with this thing, that was why I just put it on, because, well, it just made more sense, considering how successful Dodge normally is when it comes to drag racing. Anyway, now that we've got the body customizing out the way, or the body customizing sequence I should say, let's now get on with the Balboa Park tournament, because I think at this point it might just be possibly the only tournament I can really do. I tried doing it before and failed, and I reckon I am probably going to try this again and fail again.
I told you they was punks.
Okay. Can I just get over to... Okay. Fair enough. Run through San Diego's historic Balboa Park. A dubbed out Chrysler awaits the winner. Did I mention this game can be punishing? Like, in a lot of different ways, it can just be so punishing sometimes that you wonder if you're actually questioning your sanity. But the other thing with this game is, because it just feels so addictive, it's pretty much like a drug. Oh yeah, and also the cutscene thing for this, that also showed up once.
Hey, ese, there's private tournaments located throughout each city. In these, you race a series of races for one big prize, usually a hot new car, so enter them. The person who does the best in the whole series wins. The only thing is, you gotta race every race in the tournament. You can't quit out or you'll have to restart the entire thing.
So we begin with Twists on the Prado. Even though one thing I will say that annoys me a little bit is the fact that I have to do the whole thing with little to no mistakes. Otherwise I just have to start the whole thing over again if I restart one race. Well, it doesn't look like the torture that this game is putting through is going to go away anytime soon. I mean, it really is just genuine torture for what I think these Class C opponents are putting me through. I mean, this game is not afraid to show you when you're outclassed. And basically the amount of times the AI just keep wrecking you, it makes you feel like you pretty much just want to set their cars on fire and basically watch them burn. Because that's just how much of an ordeal it basically puts you through, and it gives you feelings like that. Like you just want to watch them crash and burn. Or basically just burn and explode. To the point where you never have to deal with them again. But you know that you will. Because for as much as you might want to literally just bomb them out of existence, yeah, I don't give a shit about that. The equity is just not present in these races. It really is a case of just dogs eating dogs at this point. You feel like you either want them to just be gone through any means possible, or you basically just want to pretty much torture yourself in the same way as possible. And because I feel like it's just becoming impossible to fix myself from their mistakes, I just don't even care what happens anymore. I want to win, yes, but I also want to survive. Because in a lot of ways, that's pretty much what these races do. You feel like you want to see them wiped out in fire, because that's just how much fire and fury that they give you sometimes. It may not necessarily give it to you all the time, but there are definitely certain points where they give it to you, and you know that they want to burn you with it. Like, they literally just want to burn you to death with it. Until you are no longer on the face of the earth, and just nothing but ash and dust. Oh god, it's raining. Well, things just got more interesting. And that also means that things are about to get even crazier than they normally do. I mean, to say this is already insanity levels of crazy would be putting it lightly. But when you add weather to the mix of what is just an all-around thrilling but chaotic experience pretty much all the time, that's when you know you feel like you're gonna be offed. and there's no way to avoid you from being offed. Because they don't give a shit about whether you're alive or dead. They just want to make sure that they continue testing your patience in just about every way possible. And I am not catching the leader, unless he fucks up. Okay, got a zone this time, making damn sure I get this one. I finally won that race. By 2 seconds over Ray, then Hilbert 3rd with Justin 4th, Blake 5th. Were there 6 of us in this race? And it was Hector who finished at the back. So we got a 2-way tie for 2nd, and I've already clinched the tournament because I am 10 points clear. Blake is 4th, Hilbert's 5th, and Justin is 6th and last with 4 points currently. So I've already clinched this. Now I basically just need to pretty much just score in the final race and then we should be fine. Hillcrest Hysteria. I've also been recording this now already for 26 minutes because the amount of restarts that this game can force out of you, it's practically inevitable. Even if you do go right to the very end, that you will think to restart these events. But thankfully at least, we're back in dry weather. We're back in dry weather again. I could have recorded the wet race if I wanted to, but really at this point, I'm also not shooting through the gas station because that's way too risky. I just think at this point, really above everything else, I need to give myself the basic unanimity of just staying with my car. Because that might just be the only way you can successfully pull this off. Okay. Thankfully, I got through those pillars, and I also managed to successfully use a zone in the process, which also helps me out, at least in the short term. And I benefited from it because the 350Z racked himself. However, I still have another lap to do, so really, at this point it's all about damage limitation. I could shoot through the gas station if I really wanted to, but considering it's easier than you think to run into those gas canisters, or just fuel tanks, if you want a more simple way of describing them, or gas tanks if you will, it's not really worth it to take the risk if you know there's a 99% possibility of saying that you're probably going to wreck or have an accident. Which I can certainly say at this stage, especially if you've played this game long enough, you know there are certain risks you cannot afford to take, especially when there's traffic involved. You've got to be on it pretty much from start to finish. Well, I might be second, but you know what, that's fine. May not have won in the end, but I still won by a convincing margin over everyone else. I got the first 2. Might be 1 mulligan, but you know what? I don't give a shit anymore. I won this outright. That's all I care about. And Hector, who was second at 2 points in this tournament has fallen to last. So Ray finishes second, 8 points behind me, with Hilbert third, and then we had a 3-way tie for fourth. We've literally got Satan's number for the bottom four. 666. Justin fourth, Blake fifth, and Hector sixth. You know what? A win's a win, and I will pretty much take an overall win if that's what it takes. Because we still get the Chrysler. I'm not sure how many tournaments I'm going to sweep in this game, but I certainly know most of them will not be sweeps. I think I'm just going to get one lap on the replay here. I knew I was probably going to get beaten by these monsters eventually, so I just conceded to fate and decided that my best option was to just take 2 W's instead. Which, especially when you win the first 2 races and you've got a big lead over everyone else, or a big enough lead that clinches it, you've really got nothing to lose. And because I was more consistent than the AI, that is how I pulled it off. Hopefully when we get down to the stage tournament, maybe we'll have some better luck. I'm also surprised to say that I actually did get my adjustment right on the fucking alleyway shoot. Because had I not got that right, it would have been just a disaster from start to finish. But anyway, I did get the first lap, so I think I might as well just, move on now and get my Chrysler. Okay, we're moving on now. Because we got the Chrysler 300C, baby!
Nice! The 300C is an instant classic. That's incredible, and those dub guys really did that thing up right. She's beautiful when she's dubbed out, ain't she?
And that is our first tournament win, now clinched. And thank God for that. So we've now got our third car in the garage. And now we're gonna go and check it out. Because we just won a tournament. I got another 4.5 grand to give me compensation in case if I need anything else. And this is what we get. The 300C. Suffice to say, the guys at Dub, they pretty much made everything real big with this car. And now, excuse me for a minute whilst I go and get the stat screen uploaded. Sorry, whilst I go and get the stats screen loaded in the main menu. So these are our updated stats now. Oh, that's not it. So 28 wins, and all in all 28 total restarts. We've won our first tournament. Our skill rating is still currently at 34, and we've now unlocked 27 vehicles overall. Took me over half an hour to get through the Balboa Park tournament, but you know what? I don't care. We're now 10% complete with the game, and now we're just going to move on to whatever it is we move on to next. See you then.